guys, Luna here, and welcome back to our life. We're now going to be going into the last thing of this moment, Escapade, however the heck you want to pronounce it. You look up and noticing the sun was finally set. You've been trying to delay the end of the day for as long as possible. The evening breeze tickled your nose as you sat on your front porch, munching on fresh watermelon slices. You weren't even sure why you were eating it, but that didn't stop you from munching on the sweet snack. I don't really like watermelon, to be honest. You turned to look at Cove. You've both been sitting in a comfortable silence for a while now. He sat next to you, close enough for your shoulders to touch. He was happily absorbed in his thoughts in his own slice of watermelon. Chewing, you watched as his face twitched in discomfort. He had to stop chewing to spit out his seed into the bush. Bet I can spit a seed farther than you. Immediately you shoved the majority of what was left of your watermelon slice into your mouth to get a seed to prove your point. As soon as you could, you sent that seed sailing into the middle of the street. See that, Cove? Cove burst out into laughter that slowed into a wide grin. You could tell that he was an equal part surprised and impressed. Can you do that again? I didn't see where it landed. Of course I can. Popped another seed into your mouth and focused on where the last one landed. Setting the seed free, you got it to go even further this time.
Not bad.
Not bad. Not bad. You had Cove chuckling again. It was taking a lot to focus on to stay looking serious and not to break into laughter yourself. I'd like to see you try. I will. Cove took a mouthful of watermelon, grinning when he had the seed. Then his expression morphed into focus and into a focused look, and he sent the seed flying, landing in a similar spot to yours. Wait, you got to do two. I need another try. He spoke before you can even comment on his non-victory. His determination got you laughing. He quickly set another one closer to where your second one had landed. Seems like we're evenly matched. For now.
Yeah.
For now. For the next several minutes, you both carving seeds out from your slices and giggling at the ridiculousness of the competition. Eventually, a truce was called, and you both went back to eating the neglected watermelon flesh. I wonder if I'll have another slice after this one. That one's your third already. Is that bad? It tastes really good. You sighed affectionately. If another slice is going to make you happy, it will. Go ahead, I'm not going to stop you. Cove picked up another slice. He smiled at you, delighted. A little while later, Cove flinched, making a confused sound. He slowly put his current slice down onto the plate next to him. Are you okay? Yeah. He stood up, head tilted back to look at the sky. His feet took him to the middle of the street. Did you notice something? What do you mean? I thought I felt a raindrop. The sun's still out. You put down your watermelon slice and hopped off of your front step. Immediately, you felt a tap of water on the crown of your head, making you yelp. You're right. Cove was still staring up at the sky, and you watched as he began blinking more rapidly. When he finally turned in your direction, his face was bemused. It's a sun shower. It seemed crazy, but soon you couldn't avoid the drops that began increasing into a light shower. Beaming with laughter, Cove kicked off his shoes and towards his front door and reveled in the moments. You hid from the rain. You dashed back under your awning in hopes of staying at least a little dry, but you couldn't even be mad about the shower that caught you. Cove's joyful jumping and spinning was infectious, and had you grinning from a distance. You're going to look like you fell into the ocean. So what? Just as suddenly as the sprinkling started, it stopped, and left you dripping with the smell of wet asphalt and soil tickling your nose. Cove caught your eyes, running a hand through his wet hair. Combing it back, he frowned. Aw, it's over. The drops of rain clinging to his face almost could have been mistaken for tears. He sounded that disappointed. I've had enough rain for one summer day. Not me. Says the boy who looks like he went swimming in his clothes. Cove looked down at himself and saw his clothes were sticking to his body. He laughed hard. You then looked over at your door inside. You knew Mom wasn't going to be happy to see you trailing water into the house. Cove dropped his arms awkwardly. He must have been thinking the same thing because he watched you sympathetically.
That's okay.
You can try it at my house if you want. My parents won't mind. You're the sweetest guy I know. Oh, thanks. That's not a big deal. It is. I could already hear my mom's cries over my wet footsteps being all over the halls. I know. It's okay. Cove led you inside and stayed close to him. We have a ton of spare towels, so I just gotta dig them out from the hall closets. What should I do? Just hang out in the living room. Okay? Maybe don't sit on the couch. You answered him with a slight smile. Yeah, good idea. With that, Cove disappeared and returned in no time, towels in hands. Here, thanks. You accepted one and began to pat yourself down. Your son call caught both of your attentions. I thought I heard voices. Cove's mom strolled into the living room with a curious grin.
Huh?
What happened here? You're both wet. There's a sun shower. Badass. Cove smiled back at his parents. We came inside to dry off. My moms don't like me going into my house when I'm wet.
Right.
So I told Luna to come back here. That's very sweet of you, baby. She ruffled Cove's wet hair and laughed at the drops of water that shook off. Then a light came into Kira's eyes.
What do you think?
I have an idea. Why don't we go for a drive? It has to be standing around in the house, and you'll air dry in no time. Cove only offered a shrug and bent a smile to his mom. He looked at you for a real answer. Sure, let's do it. I wouldn't mind. Because there's a lot we could definitely do. Fun, this will be good. Kira pulled out her cell phone from her pocket to call your moms. They had swapped numbers earlier this summer.
See you soon.
Head out onto the garage. I'll meet you there just a minute.
Sorry.
Sorry, my mom can be so pushy. She gets the idea in her head, and that's what she does. That's okay. Thanks for letting me come. I didn't do anything. That wasn't true at all, but you let him get away with that. Come on. Cove led you to the car, and Kira wasn't too far behind. Okay, into the back, you two. Once the three of you were situated inside, Kira started and drove out of the residential area. When she hit the main road, the car sped up and she rolled the back windows down all the way.
Hey!
Cove started laughing as he kept trying in vain to keep his hair from flying into his eyes too much. Meanwhile, he closed your eyes as the wind whipped against your wet clothes. I said this drive was going to be good for getting air dried. Yeah, I did agree. Please, music definitely makes me sleepy. Yeah, but I didn't agree to this much air. Cove tried pressing the window button, but nothing happened. His eyebrows furrowed in frustration.
No way!
Disable the back. Sorry, can't hear you. Smiling deviously, Kira turned on the radio and turned it up to be heard over the wind. You danced in your seat to the music. Song so good. Danced as much as she could while being strapped into the seat. Treating the open windows as though they were some kind of wind machine for performance. Cove shook his head at you until he cracked a half smile. Slowly he relaxed and bopped a little to the beat of the song himself. And then something struck at the side of your leg. Several papers were freed from under the car seats and were blown about. Those can't go out the window. Cove began half-hazardly reaching around the space to try and get all of the back under wraps. You helped frantically. You jumped to his aid immediately, trying to snatch up every single paper crashing around it within your reach. As much as you both caught fistful, there was no stopping the few that got stuck out of the windows. Cove gasped. Mom, close the windows! Cove offered no response to the chuckle. She kept driving. The both of you had sour looks at that. We got most of them. I know, thanks. The sun set completely, and at that, Kira rolled up the windows. Cove let out a big sigh and released the random bits of paper he had in his fist. Mom's crazy. He had a hand through the wind. This music makes me so sleepy. He ran a hand through his wind-blown hair and laughed with a bit of exasperation. You didn't know what was happening anymore. After all that, you were wondering what was going to come next, biting your bottom lip. Cove watched you with no interest until his focus was taken by a new comment from his mom. Bet you're not feeling damp anymore. No, but now I feel tricked. You could tell by his tone that at this point his complaints were more of the performative than serious. You spotted Kira looking at you both a moment You spotted Kira looking at you both a moment in the rearview mirror, smiling. Stay quiet. You shook your head and looked out the window. Kira continued driving. The radio volume was adjusted for the closed windows, and everyone was sitting more comfortably. Kira lowered the sound even more after pulling into a red light. She took the chance to turn around. You caught her a coy smirk.
So?
Does anyone know what we drove past during the drive cycle? No? A movie theater. Okay, most places have one somewhere. It isn't that late, you know. We can probably still catch a show.
What?
Really, Mom? We don't even know what we'll be playing.
Come on!
That's what makes it fun. Aren't my moms expecting me back soon? You're gonna make their parents worried. Don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating impulse behavior every day, but it's important to seize the moment we can. Might never have another night like this. And don't worry, Luna. I said I'll watch you over for the night, not just 10 minutes or so. I'll put your parents in the loop about hitting the movies as soon as we get there.
That's,
I didn't bring any shoes. I'm not wearing any either. You lifted your foot up and wiggled your toes so Cove can see. How are you gonna go inside barefoot? We can't.
It's alright.
We'll sneak through quick, no one will notice. You can do it, just this once. You share a look with Cove. It was comforting that at least the two of you were on this wild ride together. Kira drove into the theater parking lot and shut the engine off. With the unbuckling of her seatbelt, she ushered you and Cove out. Despite the hesitant to leave, once outside, Cove burst into a sprint toward the cinema. You were right along with him. The tarmac was still wet from before and cold to stand on with bare feet. Inside, you noticed that there were no lines. All the current shows had already started. Kira paid that no mind and strode up to the counter with some words of encouragement. A third of the running time is ads these days. We haven't missed anything. Meanwhile, Cove stood up next to you awkwardly. He shifted from one foot to the other and constantly kept looking forward. His shady behavior would have made him much more likely to get caught than standing still would have, if there were people around to really notice. It was pretty goofy. We teased him over it. You're being the most obvious rule breaker in the world right now. Sorry, I don't do this all the time. You definitely break rules all the time. Relax. As long as you act like nothing's wrong, no one's gonna suspect anything. I'm doing that, and I'm barefoot too. Should I be worried that you're so confident about getting away with things? Maybe. Eliciting a sigh of relief out of you, Kira returned with the tickets in hand. She quickly herded you and Cove toward the showing room. I am so sorry for the little hiccup, but hold on, we almost made it home free. Once we sit down, it'll be smooth sailing. The lights were already off in the showing room, but the movie hadn't started yet. The upcoming movie trailers were still playing.
Aha!
Yes! Keeping her volume in a hushed tone, Kira couldn't help but burst with excitement over your luck. You followed her down the walkway until she spotted open seats in the middle-ish area of the theater. Kira pointed over at the seats, looking over her shoulder at you and Cove, waiting for input. Cove nodded, and you decided to give her a thumbs up, and she led the way. When you reached your seats, Kira sighed contently. Cove gave a little of a... Kira sighed contently. Cove gave a sigh of his own and lifted his feet to sit cross-legged instead of keeping them down on the floor. He then leaned over and whispered to you.
So...
Do you have any idea what the movie is? No, I didn't hear the name or anything when your mom bought the tickets. Oh boy. After a couple more previews, the main event began. It dawned on you that quickly that it was a horror film, one about a group of students being haunted by dangerous ghosts. You were psyched. Going in, you weren't sure what to expect, but it was a fantastic surprise. You hoped this turned out to be good and scary. Glancing over at Cove, you noticed that he looked less than thrilled with the movie. He bent at the bottom left and stared at the screen with trembling eyes. Cove had never been a fan of ghosts or intentionally frightening things. That was something you learned about him early on. You anchored your body in your seat to be close to him. You bent yourself more and more until you're essentially leaning against him. It had been slow enough that Cove hadn't noticed at first. But soon, he started to peek at you at the corner of his eyes. You offered Code your hand. He took it immediately, his fingers held firm to yours, and he was able to face the screen again with a lighter expression. Sometimes, the other people in the theater screamed or cheered or clapped depending on what was happening. Yeah, I expect that. Your heart was pounding in your chest when the movie finally came to an end. The main character resolved the hauntings, but in a dark conclusion, they didn't make it out alive. Ooh, so spooky. Ooh. You stayed to let the credits roll in for the theater to clear out, and then it was time to head back to the car. Both you and Cove took the same seats in the back of the car again. Even though it was late, Kira was exuding an upbeat, cheerful energy. Huzzah! Because that's always very, very nice. What a great flick!
I guess.
It wasn't so bad in the end. You enjoyed it, baby? No, I mean, it's hard to explain. I got really tense, and I guess that's the point of horror. But I kind of don't want to have to feel like that. Now it's over, though. It was kind of cool thing to do.
Fantastic.
That's so great. Luna, how are you feeling? That's awesome. Kira smiled at that. I'm glad that she's so amused at her situation, since there's so much that could have gone wrong. Still can't believe they died. It's nice that when things aren't all obvious and and you don't really know how it'll end up until you see it, but I want it to go better. Yeah, I definitely can picture that. So, I love how it all fell apart when things seemed like we're going to be okay. I thought it would fit in what they were going for. That's true. You and Cove spent the rest of the car ride absorbed in the conversation about the movie. So, who's hungry? You were surprised when you realized Kira didn't drive you home, but to a drive-thru burger restaurant instead. Yeah, you nodded. That's the spirit. Get whatever you want. Ooh. I want a milkshake and chocolate chip cookie and french fries and chicken sandwich. And that's everything. Is that alright?
Of course.
It's okay? A-okay. Cove was tickled by the size of your list and had no disapproval over it. Kira pulled up to the window and ordered everything you asked for first. She then decided to order one of everything on the value menu. Whoa, what are you gonna do with all that? Eat it.
Really?
The whole menu? Even after picked most of it already? That's right. There are only maybe 10 things on it. They're about $1 each. I can swing it. And besides, whatever we don't finish, I'm gonna feed it to your dad. You'll be in heaven. Cove sighed affectionately at his mother's antics. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Quite welcome. A few minutes later, Kira exchanged her money for multiple bags of food, which she quickly tossed to you both in the back seats. Then she drove off into the night. Can you pass me something? What should I grab? Surprise me. He chose one of the wrap sandwiches and handed it to her. He had no idea if it was a burger or something else.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Accepting that this was what was happening, Cove shrugged and started pulling out food out of bags himself. Cove ended up with some onion rings and he happily munched on them. You made sure to grab something you liked. Kira's crazy ride just kept going. You had to wonder if this night would ever end. The adventure continued, and you were so preoccupied in the back that you almost didn't realize the car had stopped. Kira turned to look over at her shoulder. Okay, party people, it seems like we reached the end of the road. Confused, you checked out the window and saw nothing except an empty road ahead, and then you noticed the "Now Leaving" sign. Kira took you through the entire town. What are we doing here? Kira turned the car around and parked it along the side of the road. I think both of you could use a break to stretch your legs. And I doubt anyone is going to come through here this time of night. Besides, I need to make a call, so go on. Cove shook his head and got out of the car without a fight. Follow Cove. Got out and caught up to Cove. He was busy looking at the stars and stretching his arms while strolling around. I felt tired, to be honest. He followed aimlessly. He was late and he was starting to feel exhausted. Sleepy? Yeah. Words came out in a big yawn. Looking sympathetic, Cove smiled at you. Shortly after, you noticed Cove's expression change. His eyebrows furrowed and it seemed like he was thinking hard about what he wanted to say next.
I'm so sorry.
Luna, I'm really sorry for being crazy tonight. She isn't always like this. Seriously. You mean she doesn't kidnap the neighbors all the time? Cove snorted briefly before becoming serious once more. I think she just feels like she has to get out of there and do things with me while she can. She wants to make the time memorable. This visit has been really different than the others, and it didn't start off good. Thinking about how Kira's trip began this summer, you could understand why Cove was thinking along those lines. She probably wanted all of the trouble to be worth it in the end. Are you having a good time with your mom around? Yeah, it's still having her and Dad in the same house, but I love her. She's my mom. I like hanging out with her, most of the time. It went silent between you both, so you jumped when you heard the sound of the car door closing. Cove, Luna. You turned to see Kira by the driver's side waving. The sight brought you a smile. A smile at the Cove's face. She quickly made her way over to where you're both standing. Why am I not surprised? Thanks for waiting. I didn't mind.
My baby!
How did I end up with such a polite boy? She ruffled his hair and Cove lowered his head, accepting the compliment. You thought about how interesting it might have been to see how Cove interacted with his mom. And then the memory hit you. The first summer Cove ran away to this very spot, trying to find his way back to his mom, and now here they were together. You whispered it to Cove. Taking a step closer to Cove, you leaned in close to share the moment just with him. Isn't it strange that your mom took us here? This is where you went to try seeing Kara when you first moved to Sunset Bird. Cove flinched and his eyes darted over to his mom. Wait, that you heard. When he was satisfied she did, and he turned back. Yeah, it was weird, but she doesn't know what happened. At least I'm pretty sure she doesn't. Really? Dad likes to tell her things are fine, so she doesn't worry. You nodded and decided to keep it a secret. Cove looked at you gratefully, and you shared a conspiratorial smile. Anyways, it's kinda cool to be here, right on the edge of town. Exactly, we're standing on the precipice. I don't really see what's so different about it. It's like you're standing in a doorway. You don't stop and spend your time there, you pass through without thinking. Sunset Bird has ended, and just a few steps over there is the rest of the world. Plus, you get the added bonus of a gorgeous starry sky. I think it's a neat stop and appreciate these little in-between places. You weren't sure what was so grand, but you decided to drop it. Kira let out a big breath of air. You should probably call it a night, huh? You shrug. Part of you was surprised Kira was finally throwing in the towel. Kira shyly smiled and gestured to the car. Quietly, you all made your way back to it. Cove naturally followed you, taking your seat nearby in the back with the collection of fast food bags still strewn about. You rested your head into the seats as the car roared to life. As you did, Cove leaned in closer to whisper,
Hey.
I can talk to your moms if they do get mad about tonight for some reason. It was my mom's idea. You didn't have a choice. This is worth it even if they do get mad. Your mouth pulled into the biggest grin, getting a laugh out of Cove. If you say so. Cove smiled bashfully at you, but said nothing else. The drive home felt smooth and uneventful. The radio was off completely, and you felt your eyelids getting heavy. Your head came to rest in Cove. You were too tired to keep your head up, and you felt quite comfortable there. Cove didn't have any issue, though. He leaned into it. You must have been exhausted too. You were happy to stay close like that. That's warm and comfortable. When you opened your eyes, you expected to still be in the car, not your bedroom. It somehow was already morning. You couldn't remember how you ended up there. Sitting in your bed, you thought about how last night was quite an experience. It almost felt like a dream more than a real event, but it definitely happens. You're glad that you got to have such spontaneous escapade this summer. And with that, we're going to end this here, and we'll proceed to the next summer soon enough. With that, I hope you guys have a good day, night, week, month of your lives, and may the stars forever guide your path wherever it might lead you into the future. Goodbye, everybody, and hope to see you again soon.